It's progress. Daily effort. It's definitely progress. Of course, I can't seem to get like straight in front of the camera. So I'm actually trying to keep my actual internal practice going while splitting my brain power with looking through the screen. And that's how much brain power it takes, that seeming non-intrusive, distraction of just looking through the screen and holding the phone actually does disrupt the way I'm able to engage, especially my left foot. My right foot can stick with it. This feeling's really good on the right foot. Okay, just can't believe I can make my foot feel the way it does on the inside. You can't tell anything from the outside. I will narrate you through a little of what I'm feeling, but sadly, it's not good video. I'm making the video just to show you I really absolutely practice what I preach every damn day. This is my second round. My first round of waking up my feet was actually in bed under the covers, because I do find that lying down, there's just some positional ways that favors the activation I want in my feet. And then I actually sat up here after having some coffee to just like relax them and do some ankle circles and give the plantar surface a little bit of a stretch after all of this cranking on it. But I got caught up again in how good the activation was feeling. So, when your feet are feeling good and strong and like they want that blood flow, they want you to squeeze on them, right? If it's a day that they don't seem to appreciate it, which I don't have many of those days, to be honest. They seem to enjoy this muscular activation. Some days I feel like I can get a better quality activation than others, in this case, if you haven't seen my videos, you don't know what I'm doing or talking about. I'm trying to activate the intrinsic muscles of my feet, the muscles in my feet, not the muscles in my calf. I'm trying to keep my calf muscles like totally quiet and out of this activation, and feel this really just from like the heel forward. And these muscles overlap, right? We have muscles that come down from our calf, underneath and behind our ankle, around the outside of our ankle, that go into the foot. And so it's really hard to isolate one over the other. And generally speaking, a lot of us are extremely dominant. First of all, we just have weak feet in general. So put that out there. And ankles. And the ankle is a joint, not a muscle. But the muscles that cross our ankle just tend to be weak, right? Yeah, I could go on. But the intrinsic muscles of the foot are particularly important and particularly deficient. It's like having a sort of strong arm, but a totally weak hand. It's just, imagine if all you could do was this with your hand. I'm flexing my forearm and my hand is still mush. Right? This is kind of useless. So there's this relationship between the tensioning of the muscles in the hand and the tensioning in the muscles up the arm. Try it yourself, right? So same thing with the feet. So I'm noticing a bunch of things. I'm able to keep the left toes much straighter than they used to, and I'm getting better definition over the metatarsal joint line, particular into that fifth digit. So you can see that knuckle popping up a little bit, the articulation of that knuckle, with the toes staying more flat the way they are on the right side. Now, when I do that on my left, they want to flex. And I actually feel that behind my calf and behind my ankle, where I had an Achilles injury. And that is common when, in an effort to activate the muscles in the feet, we draw on the muscles that cross the calf. We draw on the long flexors. This is a common pattern. I'm learning it's a really common pattern, not from any physical therapist that's talking to me, but that's talking to ballerinas. So I've been mining dancer videos and understanding their strengthening techniques and also their pathologies to understand how to strengthen my feet, because I want my feet to be strong enough to be a dancer's foot, or, that's my objective. It's like trying to do a pull-up or a handstand, right? These are long-term goals. But you set a long-term goal and you chip away at it. And along the way, hopefully I'll be strong enough just for walking and running and leaping and jumping and skipping and just pain-free living walking around on 2 feet, which I don't take for granted. So that's my goal. But dancers who do a lot of pointing, which is just a really exaggerated version of the muscular activation we need from our feet for gait, running and walking, and sport, right? All sport. They very frequently will get this pain in the back of their ankle, a tightness and a jamming in the back of their ankle, because they too are over recruiting their calf muscles. And I mean, I saw really a great physical therapist observing that the Australian ballet companies start even children ballerinas and ballet, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm so anti-ballet, but I want to exploit them for their learning about the feet. And then not fuck my feet up the way they destroy theirs. Okay, so enough of that rant. But they start kids having them learn to point their toes with their calves relaxed. And to avoid setting them up for you over recruiting their long flexors and over relying on their calf muscles to do the work of the foot. This is in the same as in dance that sets them up for foot and ankle injuries. Having a weak foot that is being compensated for by a relatively strong calf, or as I said earlier, a not strong calf either, right? But you do a bunch of calf raises with your shoes on and you don't do anything to strengthen your feet, you're going to get a stronger calf and a weaker foot. You're going to have a stronger forearm and a weaker hand, okay? So you're going to go to try to do that pull-up, and in theory, your forearm muscles are going to be strong enough to help you clasp it, but then you can't hold on to it. So it's, my legs should, in theory, be strong enough to hold me up and propel me forward over my ankle, but my foot isn't strong enough to, for the base of support. So that imbalance is a problem. It leads to dancer injuries, and it's a big problem for us, right? And final point here I'll add is it's a major omission from physical therapists who are then teaching people how to rehabilitate their bodies from basic ass foot injuries like plantar fasciitis, dime a dozen foot injuries, is that they'll have them do things like calf raises and towel scrunches and stuff that massively recruit the long extensors, and they don't focus on the intrinsics. They might, at best, they might say the word intrinsics, and then they'll toss out short foot, which is a great start, but it is but a start to waking up all the intrinsic muscles in the feet. Gait Guys, I think, does the best at this that I've heard so far, and they will actually mention like quadratus plantae, and yeah, I am just trying to think of individual shout-outs when I've seen, like Dr. Emily mentioned the lumbricals the other day, but it wasn't in reference to strengthening them. It was in reference to how important they are for fascial tensioning throughout the body, but then wasn't describing, like, you got to do these forefoot exercises to strengthen those. And I don't know if it's because the physical therapists have never actually endeavored to strengthen their feet. Maybe they don't have symptoms, so they're not prompted to do these strengthening exercises themselves, or they haven't personally experienced the deficiency in the guidance that they're giving out as a result. But I'm raising my hand. But I have. I've observed the deficiency, both by following their instructions and, I hate to use the expression this year, anytime after 2020, but I'm following the science, guys. No, there's just a lot of evidence of how important it is to have strong intrinsic foot muscles, and then no one's teaching the exercises, and it's in part, I'll finish here, 10 minutes in, it's in part because this is what it looks like. It's really, quote-unquote, boring, and it's subtle. It's not something you can see. It's something you can feel. When I'm squeezing my 2 feet right now, just quick example, silly one example among thousands, I'm feeling this differently on my right and left foot. It kind of looks like I'm making the same shape, and the shape doesn't even really matter. Just know I can feel the muscles in my right foot different than I can feel the muscles in my left foot, even though I'm trying to do the same thing on both of them. And I can do different variations of something that looks very similar. I'm just flashing stupid gestures with my foot. And I can feel different muscles in my feet at different subtly different positions, or even not moving my foot. I can feel activation, either sort of here, sort of more here, sort of back here, on the inside line of the foot, closer to the lateral line of the foot. Like, you can get incredible differentiation of muscular sensation in your feet based on which muscle of the 20 some odd muscles that are in your foot. I think it's like 19 muscles in the foot. Okay. Something like that. So, and that includes ones that are crossing from the calf, but that attach in the foot and therefore are influencing the alignment and activation of the muscles in the foot. Okay. So the point is it's subtle and it's hard to teach because you're just like, you just gotta squeeze your foot and experiment with it. But that truly is what you have to do. And you have to hear it from someone who you're not paying, right? You have to hear it from someone because they're like, no one's going to pay for this advice. No one's going, they're really, I think another reason that physical therapists don't give out this type of advice is because they just figure compliance is going to be nil. They're like, it's too subtle. They won't do it. So let me just give them some dumb physical therapy exercises and like tell them like TheraBand. Let me tell them to put a TheraBand underneath their toes and do this 20 times. It's just not going to cut it, friends. There's not even anything particularly wrong with that exercise, but it actually, that's not true. That will massively give you more long extensor drive than intrinsic drive. That is well documented. That physical therapist is just giving you some shit because it's like better than nothing. And they're like, well, if we put some equipment in the mix and we give them a certain number of reps and clear instructions, maybe they'll actually do it. It's better than nothing. But it's really not what you need to be doing. You need to be exploring the muscles in your foot, waking them up, right? Waking them up. And these activations, these sensations are subtle and they're going to enliven differently for every foot, every body, every foot. Literally, like I was saying earlier, I can feel this differently on my left foot. First of all, I cannot create the exact same shapes and positions, right? And that's symptom, chicken and egg, of what muscles I can activate. But it feels different because neuromotorly, right? The neuromotor control connection between my brain trying to get these muscles to wake up that have been totally atrophied for decades, right? I haven't needed them. I haven't used them. The reception's bad. This is my phone call from my brain to my foot. The reception's bad. I don't have the coordination. We lose coordination all over our body. And yes, that makes us less strong because all muscular movement starts with a brain synapse. So the muscular activation is derived from how well your brain controls, right? How well it puppeteers your muscles. And then you also build the mechanical muscle strength and the robustness of that conversation that your foot and brain are having. So this left foot has that even worse than my right foot. My right foot has made big progress. That connection has been easier. My left foot, probably because of a lot of the injury history, it being my non-dominant side, lots of things. I've actually had 3 different injuries on this foot that I can think of that have contributed to progressive disconnect between my brain and this foot. So I got to dig out of a pretty deep hole on it, but it is improving. I'm saying that to say, like, really, it is an individual foot experience. So I certainly can't tell you how your 2 feet are going to feel because I can't even tell you between my right and left, like exactly that it's a fair comparison. You have to do it on your own and you just have to believe. Truly, part of it could start with some blind effing faith. You have to believe and commit to waking these muscles up. And hopefully for you, it will be a smooth process. And hopefully you're starting before your feet have chronic deformation, like bunions and hammer toes that are, I have hammering on both my feet, but especially on my left. It's not even that bad, and it's a massive frustration. Massive. So I feel for you if you have more deformation in your feet and you have more severe things to come back from. I feel for you. But you have to start where you are, and it's worth starting where you are, and you squeeze what you can, and you wake those muscles up as you can, and you treat it like a child who's learning how to draw. You don't go to that child and say, only use pen and in the lines and cursive script and blah, blah, blah. No, you give them a big piece of, construction paper and some wide crayons, and you're just like, go nuts, go nuts. That's what you have to start with your feet. Forget the silly exercises and the precision exercises. Just squeeze your feet and wake up the concept, right? Just like the kid having to learn the most gross motor things. You cannot tell that kid to like do some precise stuff with their hand from the get-go, which is like when you go to the yoga, yoga toe stuff, and they're just like, isolate your big toe and your digits and make these configurations and you'll be good. Bullshit. First of all, it's totally unrealistic that someone could actually make their foot do those acrobatics. And being able to do those acrobatics doesn't ensure that they're going to develop the foot strength. I see that there are the sort of parallel tracks that they're trying to give you, but it's like the least efficient way to get there. And it really is as frustrating and as ill-advised as trying to tell the child who has never held a pen or writing utensil to draw perfect script and stay within lines, right? You can't expect the foot to do that the same way you cannot expect the hand to do that, no matter how old you are. You don't have the neuromotor control of your extremity. So you have to just kind of be ready to scrap the exercises, even though as an adult, it's humbling. But you just have to treat it like you're grabbing a big chunky crayon, block of wax with your foot, and you're just going to try to draw anything. You're going to try to push into the floor, right? You're going to try to create pressure with it. Like seriously, something as simple as that. You're like, I can't even draw a straight line. Obviously speaking metaphorically here, right? I'm analogizing this to drawing. But you're like, something as simple as trying to draw a straight line. I can't do it. Or here at this part of the page, I can really push into the paper. And here, oh, it's kind of weak. Or if I try to go laterally on the paper, I lose control. It's going to feel like that in your feet. But you have to just imagine you're taking on this process of waking up and teaching coordination in something as intricate as your hand or foot. All right, friends, I'm going to, I just went all over the place, per usual. I haven't made one of these in a while, but I'm gonna send this out into the world, and hopefully it reaches someone that is thinking about strengthening her or his feet. And I just want to send you a massive hug because I know that it is frustrating, but I'm here to tell you, like, I'm making progress. It's incremental, but it counts, and it actually feels really, really good.